What is the best long-term investment? Americans weigh in on their opinion in a recent Gallup poll. Where does real estate fall? Where do Beanie Babies fall? But before we jump into that, make sure you hit subscribe below to stay on top of all of the latest Huntsville, Alabama real estate news. As you may have already guessed, real estate shows up at the top of the list and Beanie Babies did not make the list. So real estate was number one, coming in at 36% of those polled think real estate is the number one long-term investment, followed by stocks. Pretty sizable difference, coming in at 22% versus a 36%. Gold was slightly below, stocks at 18%, and then savings accounts were at 13% and crypto at 3%. So real estate obviously coming in number one. We'll talk about that here in just a minute, all the advantages on what make it number one on the list. Number two was stocks, a pretty big differential of 36 to 22% for stocks, which really surprises me considering we've had a record bull run in stocks here recently. Not that it is number two, but just the fact that the public still views it that big a differential versus real estate. With the recency of all the highs in stocks, I would have thought they would have weighted it a little bit higher. Obviously, I think real estate is a much better long-term investment, but stocks is coming in at a solid number two. Slightly below that is gold, which is a big inflation hedge, which has been on a tear here recently, up over 25%. I think silver's up over 30+% over the last few months as well. Interestingly enough, gold is actually kind of a partisan opinion on that. So basically 27% of Republicans think it is the number one investment and 7% of Democrats think it's the number one investment. So that's an interesting thing as we're coming up on election year, and the difference between Republicans and Democratic views on that. But gold, right below stocks, is really a telling sign of where a lot of people think the economy is, and really kind of the debt load that this country has and the inflation that we're experiencing, and that just the fact that it's a good bet in times of turmoil, and then also inflation as well. Below gold is savings accounts at 13%. Honestly, anybody that voted for 13%, I'm glad you're watching this video, because savings accounts and CDs is definitely not the best long-term use for your money for a variety of reasons. Number one is it does not get the best yield, or the most yield. Is slightly above inflation or even below inflation, depending on what you believe the real inflation numbers are. And it's even below that if you factor in the taxes that you're going to have to pay off of that as well. And then you factor in just the risk in the banking industry as well, just if you have over FDIC limits, and then just your general opinion on what fiat currency is going to do long term. If fiat currency has a huge crash, which a lot of people predict at some point in the future, the savings account would have a huge crash as well. So hopefully you did not put savings account as your number one choice. If you did, I'm glad you're watching this video, because you do definitely need to invest in some of these other assets, especially real estate. Crypto came in at the bottom at 3%, which I'm surprised people put that below savings accounts. Obviously a much riskier investment, really nothing backing it other than just the concerns of what's going on in the world and being able to transfer your currency regardless of what your fiat currency is doing. But 3%, obviously the most risky of all these investments, did come in at the very bottom. As we mentioned in other videos, real estate really pays in three ways, and there's a bonus way that you make money in real estate as well. Again, as we mentioned in other videos, appreciation is one of those big things. As you put 5% down, you can double your money if you have 5% appreciation. And so appreciation is a huge multiplier in real estate, even when you don't put all the money down yourself and you're borrowing money against the bank. The second big thing is you have renters pay down your mortgage. And so you have this principal reduction effect where a portion of each and every payment goes towards principal reduction. And then the third thing, the big thing, is tax advantages. Uncle Sam wants you to borrow money because that helps them create money and inflation and deficit spending. And so they give you advantages in real estate on getting a mortgage and borrowing money that you just simply don't get in stocks or gold or anything else, any of the other investments that we mentioned. So tax advantages are another huge one. The bonus one is this fixed payment, and really just kind of a hedge against any inflation as well, because your payment on your 30-year fixed mortgage is going to stay flat minus your insurance and taxes, whereas if you were to go out and rent a home, that's going to continue to go up. And if you're investing, again, it's a inflation hedge bet as well, because your payment is staying fixed, but the dollars that you're paying it off on are actually inflated dollars, and so you're actually paying less in future value of that money as well. So huge advantages to real estate. Kudos to you if you put real estate as your number one investment. And if you didn't, you want to learn more about real estate investing or even buying your first home as your investment as well, give us a call today at 256-333-MOVE. We'd be happy to sit down and do a buyer's consultation, whether it be your first home or it be a second home for an investment as well.